It's a wet, damp, chilly February day on the Outer Banks. We've had a lot of this kind of weather. We've had cold weather since December. It's definitely been a below average weather temperature, winter temperature wise. And we had that snowstorm. Things stayed quite chilly before and after that storm. We had 1 or 2 days where it warmed up above average, and then right back to this kind of below average. I don't know what it is with the wind chill, but it's quite chilly. I have my hood on though because I don't have I forgot to put my ear muffs on, or that headband that covers my ears. So I got my hood up, but it didn't freezing cold, but it's, I don't know, wind chill's probably, it's really breezy. It's in the 30s at least with the wind chill. I don't think it's below 30, but it's probably low 40s air temp and low 30s with the wind chill and the humidity. But it feels nice to be out and to get some sunlight on your face and in your eyes. It's very important. The natural lighting, it does a lot for our health. It does a lot for our eyes, and obviously we're all covered up and bundled up with clothing, but one of the things for health is trying to get real sunlight exposed on your body. So if you're sick, if you can get into and even if it's cold out, if you can get into and if the sun's out, if you can block the cold but still get the sunlight on your body, on your skin as much as possible, it's very good for your health. It really helps to recover from being sick. So, and it's just good for us all around to stay healthy, and it affects us in many, many different ways. But we all get to enjoy this life and all these different things. But one of the things I was just thinking about was the importance of people not pressuring people to do things. And one of the good indicators of good friends is that good friends don't try to bring other friends into doing things that they don't want to do. There's a big difference in that. Now, when you're young, there tends to be more of this kind of, we'll just call it pack mentality, for lack of a better word. This has been well documented through history, and people just recognize this. But there's a famous book called Lord of the Flies that sort of really was all about this thing, where these young people, kind of got in this tribal situation, and how young people, it's kind of a story of what would happen if you put a bunch of young people together in sort of a primitive survival situation. And that is part of growing up, but it's good to know that you set your own personal compass. And it's a good way to distinguish between whether or not you have a real friends, or if you have people that are just looking for company because they desire company. They desire people to just be there to do things with them. And a lot of those kinds of people actually prey on the idea of being able to lead other people into certain kinds of behaviors that for some reason or another excite them, or turn on certain like dopamine channels, and kind of use these basic human instincts, or instincts probably not the right word, but desires, and so they want people to participate in these things with them. So good friends all recognize that we're not perfect, and different people do different things, and things that might not be healthy or good, or we call them sinful, whatever, but there's a big difference between friends who recognize that they don't necessarily want to bring their or force other people into doing what they're doing, versus people who are actually actively trying to encourage other people to do things that aren't going to be good for them over the long run. That's kind of the big distinction between what we would call like a cult and just a group of associated, friends. Cults tend to try to enforce on other people certain rituals and things, and that could be in a formal cult that has a name and all kinds of ritualistic practices and these kinds of things. But it can also be cultish behavior. It can also be more less structured but still exist within a group of people, like when you start to get into things like gangs and stuff like that. But then even lesser so, it doesn't even have to be a formal gang. It can just be a group of people that have gotten together and are doing things together, and the next thing you know, you start to see a behavior within that group where maybe one or two individuals start to influence the group, and they make the people feel awkward or bad or out of place for not participating in what it is they want to do. And as an individual, you have to set yourself up mentally to not partake or to not follow people in that way. If you decide that you want to be a part of a group or a team or an organization that has a mission, you're going to decide for yourself that this group, team, whatever organization has a goal or direction that you think is positive in what you want to be a part of. And if they start to do things that you didn't sign up for, then you have built inside of yourself the willpower to leave that group or that organization. Whereas if you're being forced into something or being manipulated into something that you never wanted to be a part of to begin with, or is against your better judgment, then you want to immediately leave that group, and they'll disguise themselves. Sometimes it's called like a wolf in sheep's clothing. They act like you're your friends. They act like they're there for your best interest, but really they're disguised in that they want to prey upon what they think might be your vulnerabilities or weaknesses. And there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable as a person, but being vulnerable as a person doesn't mean being gullible or being persuaded. It means that to be vulnerable, you also have to be strong. So in other words, what that means is that if you're genuinely vulnerable, that just means that doesn't mean that you're willing to give in to other people. It just means that you're willing to acknowledge that you're human and you have flaws and sensibilities and emotions and things like that. And that's just exposing yourself as being human. But on the other hand, you also have to have the strength to not let those vulnerabilities be manipulated and so what, So it's like a little simple example of that is like a dog that is part of a family, and it trusts the family, and it rolls over on its back and exposes its belly so that you can rub on its belly. Well, for a dog, or a wolf in a wolf pack, they'll do that. That's exposing their vulnerability, but they're doing it because they trust their family. And the stomach is a vulnerable part of the body, and to expose that means that you trust the people around you. To give a dog a belly rub means that the dog has now, that's where they would be most vulnerable in a dangerous situation. They would try to protect their belly. If you ever see a dog who feels scared, they'll huddle up. They won't roll over on their back. They try to protect themselves, their underside and whatnot. So as a human being, we have to know that if we have people that are just continuously trying to prod us into doing things that we don't think is right or is not going to be good for us or bad for other people, that we know to stay away from them. That's a sign that we must be able to recognize, and then have the strength and that compass inside of you to walk away from and to leave them and to know that they're not true friends. Whereas you have other friends that are all going to do stupid things, like all of us will. We will do stupid things. I've done stupid things. We all will do stupid things. But that's the difference between knowing that if I'm doing something stupid, I'm not going to try to also make my friend do that stupid thing, at least I'm not going to try to, make them feel bad or guilty or for not doing it, I don't know, hopefully the older we get, the less of those stupid things we do, but we still do them. But, specifically when you're young, it seems like we do a lot of them, and girls do stupid things, boys do stupid things. Boys tend to do a lot of things that tend to be more risky to their physical health, right? Like, so let's say an example might be, it can be doing things that are just dumb and bad, like drinking alcohol and things like that in a way that is very unhealthy and not dangerous. People doing dumb things like drinking and driving. It's very bad, and you, as a good friends, you wouldn't encourage your friends to do that with you. In fact, you would encourage somebody to be like a sober driver or something. But it can also be in things that seem to be a little less, like say, doing something like on a skateboard, for example. I'm just going to make an example of that. There's a lot of very good things about skateboarding, but you can also do very extreme things with a skateboard, for example, that could be very harmful and dangerous. So let's say somebody, and then you have different skill levels, but let's just do it as an example of somebody who's going to take some big risk on a skateboard. If they have a friend who's also skateboards, they may say, hey, you want to go do this with me? And if the friend says, no, I'm not up for that, then a good friend would not overly encourage that friend to take a risk that they shouldn't take, that they don't feel comfortable taking. Whereas somebody who's acting as a friend but might not really be a friend, who's got some sort of ego issue or something like that, they might keep prodding at them to the point in where they maybe even have, maybe it's a group of them, and they gang up on that person to get them to do something that person is just very certain is not safe or not up to their skill level, for whatever reason. That's not good, right? Like, that's not good. So for people to force other people to do things, but it's really, really something that's sneaky, though, when it gets to things that are more, evolved, more like particularly like things like drug use and alcohol use and other things like that people might do that are like shortcuts to what they think is going to be, feeling good about them, to make them feel good, which is really detrimental because it's a fake feeling good. And then people become dependent on those things, and it ruins people's lives and other people's lives, and it's really bad. And so, as you go through life, you're going to find that, the people that you can say are good friends are the ones that don't try to encourage you into their what we call vices, and vice versa. You won't invite, or try to encourage other people to do things that are harmful or bad to them. And that's just a part of being independent, and that's something that you start to work on as early as you can in life, as who you are as an individual. And as you define that and what it is that you want to do, you build inside of you a very much of a strong person in a sense of who you are as an individual, and you create an ability to also has to be so that you can in a positive way help to lead other people, and the world needs that, and so you can lead yourself, but then that often means that you also become a good role model for other people, and especially as you get older and you have children, that leads into being a good role model as a mother, etc., as a father, for boys and that sort of thing. So developing your sense of individuality and who and what you want to be as a person, and as far as how you live a healthy life as a physically, mentally, socially, spiritually, and even people who are successful in one way, if they're not complete like that, they'll still have many problems that may completely take away from all the maybe great accomplishments that they have in another area. And so it's important for us all. You can't be too judgmental of people. I mean, that's part of life, is that, but there's a difference between being judgmental and just standing up for yourself. So you can stand up for yourself without having to be judgmental, right? You could be judgmental in the sense that you're judging them as a bad behavior, but not necessarily making a judgment on them as who they are as an overall person. You just know that it's not right for you, and you separate yourself from those things. But you do that by knowing that you are you. I love you. Your mama loves you. Your family loves you. But you're still you. You're not dependent on other people's love so much. I mean, it's important. I mean, it's a very important thing to have that, to know that's there. But you're still you. Love yourself. And one way would you love yourself would be, how would you, think about loving somebody? That would be to treat them well, to encourage healthy behaviors, to encourage them to pursue good goals, good dreams. And that's how you love yourself, is the same way. You encourage yourself. You can talk to yourself, and that's a very important aspect, because we do have a subconscious, a conscious, and multi-levels of consciousness, and we can coach ourselves. It's a tough skill to learn, but you can learn to coach yourself too. So you have your conscious part of yourself has got to find ways to kind of talk to yourself and to meditate, and then prayer is a very important part of that aspect too. Well, I was talking to a guy who had known him for a long time, known him since I was just a little kid, and he's had a lot of problems with alcohol abuse. And he said, one of the things that's helped him recently was that he prayed to God to make the alcohol taste as awful as it could possibly taste and make him sick. And he said that really helped him. He said that it worked. He said that God made his alcohol drink make him sick. And he said he didn't want to drink it anymore. And I think that's a very powerful thing for somebody to convey to somebody else, is that might be the best way to pray for things, is not to pray for them as like we're wishing. I don't know that God really wants us to wish for things. I don't think wishing is very good, except for just in fun situations. But I think he wants us to ask about things in a way that are real and objective. And so if you want something to stop, you need to kind of ask for the opposite effect of what it is, that you're looking for, and if you're looking for motivation to continue with something, you might not just wish for things to work out, but you may ask for, an ability to connect with the how, allow me to feel, that I can use my success in these positive ways, show me where the positive ways and why I should have this success, and rather than just wishing for, let me be successful, let me have a bunch of money, let me have, this or that or the other, just as if it's okay to have the dream for things, but maybe, God wants us to not pursue things until we know how they're going to be beneficial for yourself and for other people around you over the long run. But I thought it was really interesting that, he shared that with me. So set your own compass. Understand what the difference between a real friend is and a fake friend is. Understand what a wolf in sheep's clothing is. That means that the wolf wants to eat the sheep, but it dresses up like a sheep so they can sneak in there with the sheep and then hurt the sheep. You gotta look for the wolf in sheep's clothing. Don't be a part of something that's cultish. If you're with a group of friends, they should respect each other's individual, person, your individual goals and desires and beliefs. And if you do want to join and you will join a team, an organization, a mission. Make sure it has a mission that you want. You know, that is in line with who you are as an individual. Anyway, you know, so that's a long video. Remember, you can always play these in 2 times speed. I love you.